Welcome to Breakroom Boardroom, where the industry's toughest questions get a seat at the table. Welcome to Breakroom Boardroom. Industry leaders, real conversations, important issues. I'm Orrin Huebner, your host of today's podcast. Thanks for joining us. The hiring crisis, is it really a labor problem? We've got a fantastic panel with us, and I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves. Let's start with CJ.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. CJ Recher, Vice President of Marketing for 5-Star Break Time Solutions. We're a canteen franchise based in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Max?
How you doing? I'm Max Goldsmith, President and CRO of Metropolitan Coffeehouse, OCS and pantry service for the greater New York metropolitan area. Nice to see you guys.
Thanks, Max. Sam?
Hey guys, Sam Hagan. I lead business development and operations for Quality Vending and Coffee Company. We serve the greater Kansas City area, cover anything from vending to micro markets, office coffee, pantry services, you name it. If it impacts the break room, we have it.
Thanks, Sam. A great group of guys. Thanks for taking the time out today to join us here. Let's dive in. Many operators today say that one of the biggest challenges in our industry is hiring. So what are your thoughts? Do you think we're not good enough at it? Do you think we're great at it and it's just a misconception? Do you think it's the size of the company, the area you're located in, the region, the position you're hiring for? I know that's a lot there, but I think all of those are factors in what hiring actually is and contributes to the discussion. So let's start with Sam.
Yeah, I think my opinion would be that this is a hurdle for any industry. I think you name it across the board, whether it's vending in micro markets or retail or any other aspect of the economy, everybody takes a step back sometimes and says, man, are we just doing this wrong? Are we approaching it incorrectly? And over the last several years, obviously COVID isn't within recent memory. COVID had a serious impact on the ability to attract talent just because of the government assistance that was out there. And we had a lot of people that just simply didn't want to work. I think times have changed. I think people are back to searching for great opportunities out there. With all of that said, I do think overall that our industry's approach could be improved. There's a lot of that obviously goes in and impacts attracting good talent. I think salaries impact that, and I'll talk more on this probably later with some of the future questions, but with us being an industry built of a lot of small family-owned businesses, there's obviously a ceiling to the salaries that we're able to offer. And so that does sometimes make it difficult to attract and keep good talent. But beyond that, what kind of upward mobility are we offering these candidates? And as far as benefits, is there a lack of benefits that maybe draws them to other industries because we're not offering the 401k packages or a solid healthcare plan for not just them, but their family members? So I think while we could improve our approach, I think it's a little bit of a misconception. I think every industry struggles at times with finding good labor and good help.
That's good insight. CJ, what are your thoughts with 5-Star?
Yeah, Sam definitely hit on a lot of great things there. So this was a interesting topic when you asked us to join. So I'm the marketing, talking about HR stuff. So a lot of these, I've got some input, right? Because I do some hiring, but I went yesterday and met with our head of recruiting in HR just to get some thoughts that he has. So one thing that I'm focused on building here at 5-Star is our mobile app and rewards program, right? Our industry doesn't really have that as an existing infrastructure, so we're kind of building that from scratch. And so when talking about attracting talent, we had to go look in other retail channels to find folks that had some of that background. And so I had to be patient when working through that, right? And finding somebody that would fit our company, our channel, and has that ability to grow with us. Some of the things that were mentioned by Sam and also Steven is competitiveness on salaries in the market and similarly related industries, right? So one, from a warehouse perspective, we're having to compete with Amazon distribution centers and other DCs. And sometimes their pay can start a little bit higher than what we're able to offer for a role like that, right? And in some cases, we're training them to then go on to those roles, or we're competing directly head to head for similar talent, right? One thing that we've faced at 5 Star, and I think we've done a really good job of doing the backfill, is like our industry's workforce is aging, right? And so we've had 15 senior leaders over the last 2 years retire from our organization. And so finding the backfills in succession planning and like who's the next gen that's going to come in and replace that. And are we as an industry focused on that on a day-to-day basis of developing those mid-level managers or frontline managers to be able to one day kind of step into those new roles once some of the more senior folks in our industry roll out, right?
100%.
And
Well, and
yeah, go ahead.
something else I'd add into that is not only is it finding a way to backfill those positions and our workforce aging, but our equipment and our technologies are changing.
Right.
So, what used to be just cash and coin, now we've got card readers, we've got kiosks. What's the latest thing that everybody's talking about? The vision technology. And so it's not just simple manpower and entry level positions anymore. You've got to have somebody that is comfortable working on a computer and troubleshooting, software systems and things of that nature. There's a lot more that goes into it. And that obviously ties directly into the salaries, because the more knowledge that those candidates have, the more you're going to have to offer them when it comes time to sign that check. And are we going to be able to afford that? And this panel's unique too, because you've got 5 Star, which, let's not dance around the elephant in the room, right? I mean, they're significantly larger than we are here in Kansas City. I've got a lot of respect for them, but I would venture to say they can afford to sign, some larger paychecks than we can. And we've got Canteen in town that we're competing against. And I don't know how big Max is, but I'm sure Max faces some similar competition with, if I have somebody that has industry knowledge and they're available out there as a candidate, I'm not the only one going after them, because Canteen, American Food and Vending, 5 Star, they're interested in those candidates too. So it throws some curveballs our way, and you have to get creative in the benefit packages that you offer, because that can help offset what salary you're offering.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got one more point, and then
Please,
I'll let
please.
Max step in, and he may see this more than we do being in the Southeast, but the lack of preparedness, especially for a couple roles like the last mile delivery folks that are doing gig work, DoorDash, those sorts, they see some job openings that may look similar, but the role is really not just a delivery role, right?
Yep.
And so they're not prepared, right, coming in to step into that different of a role on a route type position, right? That's another piece of context that our hiring manager brought to me.
And CJ, you do so many acquisitions
Right.
that you bring in, to Sam's point, you bring in some senior leadership where others might be retiring. You get a good influx of people through your acquisitions, which
Absolutely.
I know helps as you go along the way.
It does.
Max, what are you seeing in New York? You're pretty comfortable right now, or are things going well?
Sure. I find right now, for at least the New York area, I think it's easier for us to find people. I don't have a struggle in finding new hires and potential candidates. I think when we do post a job, which is lucky for us, we've been pretty good with turnover. We haven't had to, weekly post jobs and opportunities. We're growing. We've been able to promote people from within, which I think is a huge part, which we all need to probably do a better job as well.
Yep.
Of taking people we have and moving them from different positions to others. But I don't really have a struggle with hiring. I don't look at that as being a pain point for me in running Metropolitan Coffeehouse. I think the harder thing for me in hiring in the process is the speed in which it needs to get done. My typical opportunity comes, and it comes really quick. And it's usually in the form, fortunately for us, it's when we get a big account and I need another driver, or we're working on another piece of big business and I need another technician because we're stretched too thin. I need another guy in the city that's going to be walking the streets every day. I will say that I think New York has never been more competitive. I've never seen so many different operators in the New York area attacking and going after New York City-based business. I think New York City is booming right now. I think it's the best it's ever been since I've been in this industry. I think people are looking for work. I think people are hungry to, not work for Amazon if they don't want to. I think there's better opportunities working for a smaller company, a smaller, more mobile company like Metropolitan Coffeehouse. So I think we attract that. I think we attract those kind of people. I think they come to us. I think the issue is getting them ready as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Getting them on the road as quick as possible, and just throwing them out there. I won't sugarcoat it at all. When we hire somebody, it's a week training, and it's go get them. It's get out there and do your job. It's not, hey, we're going to baby you and have you ride along with the driver. We don't have time for that. We're too busy. We're growing too fast. So my struggles really lie in the speed in which I need to get people on board.
I agree with a lot of that. Just to clarify, we don't struggle necessarily to find or hire talent. I agree with Max that there's a lot of people out there and a lot of people looking for work, and he hit the nail on the head. I can't tell you how many times I've interviewed somebody and they're like, I'm interested in this because you guys are a small family-owned business. I would rather work in that environment than a large corporation. But the salaries, the lack of upward mobility and benefits, I think, are generally just some of the struggles that our industry as a whole probably faces. And we've ran into it a few times, but we've obviously been able to get creative and still get those people in the door. But we're just like Max. The difficulty that we face is once we get somebody in the door, getting them ready to go.
Right. Because
we're the same way. It's go, go, go. You get a few weeks of training, and then, hopefully we found somebody that is able to think on their feet, because it's not if, it's when. They're going to run into hurdles in the field and obstacles. And so I think the important factor is finding somebody that's willing to think outside the box and get past those obstacles and not just look like a deer in headlights. Because those people, unfortunately, don't always last, because our industry is ever changing and you have to think on your feet.
It's fast. It's going nonstop. It's so,
and our client demands are changing so quickly. For example, this week we had somebody that they were set up to order through our web store for all of their OCS services. They changed on a dime and said, we don't want to do this anymore. We need you guys to immediately take over. And our driver got out in the field and he was like, what am I doing?
Oh,
and so,
you got to order for them.
Yes. Yeah. You got to order for them. Okay. Well, what do I do? All right. Well, let's walk through this, but you got to go into this with an open mind.
You see what they're missing, and you hit that button, you order more of it.
Exactly. Work with me here. But I agree with a lot of what Max said. There's a lot of people out there that are wanting work and they're hungry. It's just finding the people that fit the role that you're looking for and that fit our industry too.
Right.
That's great. What's the single hardest position to hire for today for each of you? What would be the one that's toughest? Let's start with Max.
Technicians.
Why?
It's more seasoned work. It's more intellectual work. It's more hands-on work. Losing a technician is a blow. And I think anybody in the OCS space, I can't speak to vending as much. I know vending machines have electrical components and different technical aspects that you need to be strong on. But when I don't have a technician that can fix a brewer and a bean to cup machine, I'm struggling. I got to get them trained up as quick as possible. We have no POS, so just so the team and the audience out there can understand, like, my company does not do anything with anything cash, anything credit card. We are strictly a coffee pantry services and breakroom services provider. No vending machines, nothing. I don't take business on the street. We don't go after anything where anybody needs to pay for a cup of coffee or pay for a bag of chips. So it's really repairing equipment. I think that's the hardest thing. I think there's more people out there than I realize that are in this field or have been in this field, but replacing that person is probably the biggest struggle, in finding somebody that has the skill to get going, because that also is a job too where you're throwing them to the fire right away. I could live with a driver, being with another driver for a little bit and doing that, but hiring a technician, I'd say, actually, I'll correct myself a little bit. I'd say in the past, in the history of my company, in the history of us starting this, I think one time, and it happened in this past year, we've hired a technician that did not have previous experience doing anything coffee. I've only hired one. So if I've had 10 technicians in my entire career of running Metropolitan Coffeehouse, I think I've only hired one that had zero background in water, ice, or any sort of coffee background. So we have that one, and he's doing it. I guess he started as an apprentice, and he's learning, and he goes out on his own now. So he's going out on his own and doing his thing. But that would be my hardest thing, of finding somebody who's trained up and ready to go is in the technician field.
I would second that. Yeah, that's one of two of our most challenging, especially with some of the stuff that Sam mentioned earlier on the changes in technology. So the knowledge, skills, and abilities have had to expand, right? Because we still have thousands of vending machines, and so we still take cash. So you got to know how to fix the coin mechs and the bill validators and all those things that folks that have been in the industry for a long time know how to do. But you also have to be able to work on computers and those sorts of things. And so that's certainly a challenge as, again, our workforce in this industry continues to age and age out and retire. Those really good technicians have started to go away, but we've been pretty blessed with some younger folks that have learned and been able to move into those positions. And then the obvious one is the route merchandisers, right? Especially in the Southeast. It's a physically demanding job, sometimes hard conditions, 100-degree weather. They got to get out there and do it every day. Like yesterday, we had 2.5 inches of rain. They got to get out there and service the accounts regardless of what's going on. And so you got to be able to find the candidate that's invested enough in the position and believes in what we're doing enough, taking care of the clients to be able to get out there in those tough conditions to do that. And unfortunately, there's just not as many of those folks hanging around anymore, right?
Yeah.
And then one thing that he mentioned to me that was a novel idea is that in terms of holding on to those good ones, right? Our route folks are consistently going into other businesses. And so they see other company cultures and the way that people are treated elsewhere. And not that we do that well, right? But if anything that they're providing to their people is attractive, their potential to get poached, right? Especially if they're doing a good job and the client contact is interested in that. So that was one new thing I was like, I didn't even think about that from a retention perspective of keeping the good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had a third position, but I don't. They both kind of stole my thunder a little bit because they hit on the two positions that I was going to hit on. Technicians for sure. So quality vending and coffee, we've been around for 35 years now. So we've got just about every type of style of machine you can think of. You know, your traditional snack beverage vending machines. We've got a couple lingering coffee vending machines that I wish I could get rid of, but those clients are just, they're holding on to them with a death grip.
Yep.
All the way up to, I mean, you know, a plethora of different OCS machines, bean to cup, drip brewers, cold brew systems, you know, all kinds of different styles. And then we've got some water and ice. Thanks to Orrin. Orrin's pushing me to keep including that in our offerings. And then we've also got micro markets and smart coolers. So, you know, a technician for us, I mean, they've got to have a wealth of knowledge. And when they get hired on, they've got a lot of information to absorb. And it may not happen as quickly as we want it to. You know, it could take a technician, you know, upwards of 8 months to a year before they're fully comfortable, right? So that position is obviously very hard because it takes somebody that's going to have an open mind and is ready to absorb and hopefully stick around for a while, because, you know, getting 3 months in and having them jump ship is costly for us. So technicians for sure. And then CJ hit on a lot of these points with the route merchandiser. The only thing that I'd add is that it takes an ideal candidate and individual for that position, because they are the face of our company. They are who our clients see the most. So I hate to say it, but you can't just hire anybody off the streets that says, yeah, I can drive a vehicle and I can throw some beverages and snacks in a break room and move on. I need them not only to represent themselves well, but represent me well. So there's a lot of training that goes into that, and coaching them on how to present themselves, how to conduct themselves. Hopefully they've come from a background and a work history to where they've got some experience in how to do that, and they're personable. But those are definitely the two positions, route merchandiser and technicians.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I've always said technician. It used to be we could hire plumber or electrician. We're good.
Yeah.
Right? And now your construction and your IT, with all the technology that's going on, you need all of the above, and it differs depending upon which part of the business. So given a choice, would you rather lose your largest customer or your best technician? And you can't say neither.
Yeah.
Because I know neither. You
Yeah,
don't want to either one.
that's where my
But I'm
mind
going to
went.
give you a second to think about that, because
Well,
it's a tough.
I'll jump in and I'll jump in and say Definitely neither, but I'm gonna lean towards technician, and an argument could be made for either, right? I'm gonna lean towards technician only because, our largest customer is very large, and that affects my bottom line and my ability not only to replace that technician, but potentially the ability to pay some other employees. So I'm gonna lean towards technician, even though it would be a nightmare to replace the two guys that we have now because they're phenomenal.
I love your pause because it makes you think, and that's why I wanted to throw it
Yeah.
out there. And for all the great technicians in the world, they're valued, and I think that's something that we need to think about. And I know you do. So CJ, you're nodding up and down. I'm guessing you're going to follow Sam's.
Yeah, that's
Right.
correct. I'm glad that he took that first.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I took one for the team.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, similar sentiment, right? Yeah, our largest customer is very large, but yeah, our technicians are, again, one of the two people that customers see first, and they're very integral to that client relationship and keeping those clients there, right? So it's almost a chicken or egg type piece, but yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Again, I go back to neither.
I'm going.
Right? Yeah,
I'm,
100% neither if you're gonna make us choose, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'd rather lose my largest account because I think I'm confident I'll get it back.
That's
I like that. Yeah.
Max makes a phenomenal point. If your service is there and
Thank
you're
you.
confident you're going to get him back,
Yeah.
I like it. I like the mindset.
Yeah, I'm gonna be confident about it.
Yeah.
I believe we're gonna continue to grow, and I would hate to lose my best technician. It would be a huge nightmare.
Yeah. So we've got A, B, C, and D, and Max, you're going with D, and I think all the rest feel comfortable the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So we talked about culture. We talked about employee retention. Tell me about your cultures and how do you view your cultures within each of your organizations, and at the same time define culture for me. I know that's a lot, but I think it all goes into the same thing. And Max, why don't we start with you this time?
So I think culture is it's a big buzzword right now. It's a big buzzword for our industry in general. I believe it comes from the top, and I'm not just saying this because I'm the president of the company, but I believe it comes from the leadership and your managers that are there. And I can't sugarcoat it. I don't think that it's possible to have this robust company culture when your people are out all day, every day, right? We have a good crew of people in the warehouse every day, and I love to make them happy. My culture is making people happy when they're at work and making people feel comfortable and interested in doing their job every day and making them feel like they have a vested interest in us growing. So when it comes to culture, like what do? I love getting my guys lunch. I love making sure that they're taken care of on a Friday. I love closing early when we can on certain holiday weekends and paying them for the whole day. I love being able to have a party at least once a quarter. I love my guys being able to come to me and ask me for things that they need personally. That's culture to me. I always have my door open. I literally and figuratively, I want them to come to me because they're having some rough times and they can't pay some bills. That's culture to me. Those are all things that I think we have all the time. I don't think that's ever going anywhere. But are we playing Pop-A-Shot in the warehouse on Wednesday afternoons? No, we're not doing that. We don't have time for that. We're not giving out gift cards for 0 mistakes on their picks every day. I'm not doing those things. I just want my guys to be happy, comfortable, and enjoy coming to work every day. So if that's okay, that's my culture. That's how we're running it.
I think that's great advice and a great insight because we have different size operators that are able to do different things, and everybody
Yeah.
wants to improve to a certain degree. And I do think culture is a buzzword, and it means so many different things to different people. CJ, you're the behemoth of the group, and I know you have the ability to do more. But how do you view culture within Five Star?
Yeah, certainly no secret that we're growing and high growth, and that's one of the things that our folks have to be comfortable with is change, right? Change and adapting. And there's a lot of things in the business world right now, especially AI, that's causing a lot of potential disruption. But yeah, like culture, it's hard at an organization our size to keep that. But one thing that kind of lives true, like we've got the mission statement, the vision statement, we've got 4 core pillars of our values, and I think it's important to keep an eye on that, right? And one of the things that gets me excited about what we do, and I try to impress on my team and the folks that I have a sphere of influence on, is our industry as a whole has the ability to impact millions of people's days by the simple things. Like the concept of what we do is very simple, right? We're making sure that food and beverage products and those sorts of things is there when they need it, right? If whatever it is that they're looking for isn't there when they want it, that can impact their day positively or negatively, right? And we've all had those experiences. And so making sure that's top of mind and part of the reason and purpose behind what we do, and the ability that we have to do that, right?
Yeah.
At the core of it, though, people would just want a sense of belonging, a sense that they know that they're making a difference, right? And even though we're very big, where I sit and what we do, I can see the things that I do make a difference across the board. And I feel that's the case company-wide. So they want that sense of community. And we talked about retaining route merchandisers, right? Like, I think Stephen, our HR guy, said that role spends probably about 10 to 15 minutes in the building, right? In front of a manager, interacting with them on an average day. So we've implemented some ways to stay in touch with them throughout the day, like check-ins, those sorts of things. That way they've got a way to stay connected, respect in the workplace, right? Like making sure people are respected, empowering people. And I think from a culture perspective, and I'll be quiet and let Sam talk, one thing is like, you got to walk the talk as a leader.
Absolutely.
You got to do what you say you're going to do. And if there's certain values that the company puts out there, you need to live by it and or be able to be humble enough to be held accountable to do those things. So you got to walk the talk, lead by example, all those sorts of things. So,
Yeah, so all three of you, Orrin included in that, hit on some things that I had already had front of mind. So number one, it's interesting to see the different sizes of companies within our industry and what they do for their culture. You know, Max and I are closer in size than CJ is to the two of us. I see posts on LinkedIn from various management and high-level leaders within Canteen and American Food and Vending, and they're posting stuff about their company culture. And to Orrin's point, they're playing basketball in the middle of a work week in their warehouse. And that's awesome. I love it. I'm with Max. Can't do it. Can't do it here. We're lean, we're nimble, and we're working hard every day. So the way we build our culture is different than the way they do that, and that's fine as long as your employees see it and appreciate it, and want to continue showing up for you every single day. That's the important part. For me, it's communication. I'm huge on communication, whether it's with my customers or in this case with employees. CJ hit the nail on the head. I tell a ton of our customers, you know, what's different about quality vending and coffee. When we say we're going to do something, we do it, and you see it. And I'm the same way with my employees. If my employees come in and say, hey, I've got this issue going on with my dolly or, you know, the app on my phone or whatever it might be. If I don't have the answer, that's fine, but I'm going to tell them I'm going to take care of it, and they're going to have constant communication from me on this is where we're at. I'm working on it. I'll get that fixed for you so it makes your life easier. So I think communication is huge. For the most part, we've kind of got three departments, for lack of better terms. You know, we've got our route team, I've got my warehouse team, and I've got my equipment team. And that equipment team is going to consist of, you know, the prep and install guys as well as my service techs. And it's making sure are we all working on the same page towards the same goal to where we're efficient across the company, where our responsibilities overlap. Because if you've got this constant fuss and headbutting between departments, our route team and our warehouse team are notorious for it. They get frustrated with one another, whether it's the way the totes are coming back from the routes or where the totes are going out. You know, work together, and that's where we come in as leaders. You know, get out there in the warehouse, get out there on the routes and work with them. Show them that you're willing to do the dirty work, because, you know, a lot of times they have this vision of us just sitting at our desks on our computers, ironically like we are right now, but they think we do that all day long and we're not doing anything. And we know we're not doing that, but they don't know that. And the only way they're going to see that we aren't that way is if we get out there in front of them and work with them. So I love what Max said. He's doing a lot of similar things that we are. And CJ made some great points as well. But I think at the end of the day, it's communication, it's getting in front of your teams, and it's making sure they're all working towards the same goal. And I love to say improve 1% every single day. And that's what you have to work towards as an entire company across all departments.
Yeah, I love it. I love all of it. Let's do a quick lightning round. And let's start with CJ.
okay.
What's the most underrated retention strategy?
Underrated retention strategy. First thing that comes off the rip, one thing that I like to do in my monthly meetings, and I don't know if it's a pure retention strategy, but I know it certainly helps with my team's culture and connectivity, right? Is to start every monthly meeting, I do a praise and celebrate. So it's one thing
Nice.
everybody has to call out, one thing that they are proud of, personal or professional, any topic that they're proud of over the last month. So we go around the group, everybody says it out loud. And then the next one is you got to give somebody else in the group praise for something that you saw them do over that last same period. And it's one of the coolest things and just brings our group together.
Love it.
Nice.
That's great. Max?
I'd say we're speaking clients underrated retention strategy. That's where I'm going with this one. I'm going to say over servicing. Sending your technician teams there to clean their machines when they don't ask for it. Sending an attendee there to go clean up their storeroom. I think we could do more of that as a company. I think that's like goes a long way in doing things for a client when they're not expecting it.
Sam?
I think two things that come top of mind for me is number one is acknowledging your employees' efforts in front of other employees. You know, don't just send them a little text. Don't call them after the workday's over. You know, make sure you're in front of other employees and say, man, you killed it today. You did awesome at XYZ task. Thank you so much for what you do. The other employees see it and they're like, man, Sam's really paying attention. And obviously the employee receiving it feels good because he just got a job well done. So it's quick, it's simple, it doesn't cost a dime other than, 30 seconds of your time. And then outside of that is just taking a general interest in their well-being. Take some time each month or each week, whatever it might be, to go through each of your employees and pull them aside just for a quick chat. Hey, how are things going? And, obviously they're going to immediately think you're talking about work, but make sure they know, hey, I'm not just talking about work. How is your family doing? How are your kids doing? You and your wife just had a baby 2 months ago. How's the baby doing? Show serious interest in their well-being outside of work as well.
I like that.
I realized I went the other way there. I went client retention,
It's okay.
not employee retention.
I love the surprise and delight. It's great.
You know
Yeah,
what though?
that's
good.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
job. It's
I know
you're just
you guys
creating
wanna
job
apply,
security
you're-
for those employees. That's all you do.
Your idea. I'm the one who said keep my employee too, by the way, and get rid of my biggest
Correct.
client.
Yeah.
No, but I went for client attention. If you want me to answer on employee retention,
Go ahead. Yeah, that's great. I like your other take too, because I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah.
over servicing
Yeah.
is the best retention
I'm
policy.
thinking about that obviously right now, but
Proactive.
yeah, no, I think for employee retention and keeping your people there, honestly, I think money matters. I think money talks. I'm going to go with giving an unwarranted raise, giving an unwarranted bonus. I think that's a huge thing. I think money matters a lot to my people. I think they work hard. A lot of them are living, unfortunately, paycheck to paycheck. I think getting them any sort of bonus or any sort of pick me up when they least expect it is a huge thing.
Yeah. Well, and to
Most-
Max's point on retention, he went the client route, but let's not lose focus of the fact that the only way we can continue to pay these individuals is if they're doing a good job out in the field. So
Yeah.
I said it as a joke that it's job
100%.
security, but in all seriousness, the way we impact our employees is the way they impact our clients. And if they're impacting our clients in a negative manner and we lose clients, whether it's our largest or doesn't matter the size, we lose enough of them, we can't pay these employees anymore and you're not even going to have them on staff. So, I mean, client retention is every bit as important as your employee retention.
And they're all tied hand in hand.
Exactly.
together.
They're all tied
They are.
together.
And if they're happy from the top, they're going to do well by your clients. And so it really all ties together. We kind of said that the technician is the toughest job to hire for, toughest position to hire for today. Get your crystal balls out. Let's look ahead 5 years. What do you think the toughest position will be 5 years from now to hire, Sam?
This sounds like I'm not putting much thought into it, but I mean, my immediate thought is still going to be technician because our technology is not slowing down. It's not going to change. I mean, we're continuing to push the boundaries and following technology as far as it's going to take us. And with AI coming into the picture, we're scratching the surface with these vision coolers that are the hot, topic right now. And it's only going to continue to grow and expand. So I still contend that technician's going to be tough to hire for because you've got operators, like ourselves. We're still majority vending. The bulk of our business is still vending, but vending's not going to be gone in 5 years, right? So your technicians are still going to have to know how to work on those simple, traditional snack vending machines all the way to whatever's next after vision coolers. So I'm going to still stick with technicians.
I see Max nodding. He's going to.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree that I see that. I'll give you a number two, maybe. What comes in second place to a technician or somebody with some sort of technical background? I think that's continue to be a hard thing. I'll say number two, I'd say my middle management. I'd say hiring somebody that's going to come in that is willing to take, not the biggest salary to come in and be a manager that's not going to be in charge. I see that being a little bit of a problem. I think the next level for my company is hiring people that are going to fill in these gaps, whether it's an account manager, whether it's this. I see that being a little bit harder because we'll be competing with a lot of different companies for that.
Great. CJ?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a yes and on both of those. So those were kind of my two that I would pick, right?
Yeah.
I think for both of the similar reasons, right? There's going to be a big piece of competition, and again, we're not sure what AI is going to do over the next 5 years in terms of how much job replacement is going to happen, if any. If it does, how prepared are people to step into some of those roles where you need them to lead and know things, and how much on-ramp would there be if they are stepping straight into a middle-level management role, right into a very complex industry. While the concept's simple, our industry is super complex.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Final question for everybody. If I gave each of you an unlimited hiring budget, I know that'd be pretty nice, right? And this is hypothetical, of course. If I gave you an unlimited hiring budget, what's the first people problem you'd solve?
I'll take the leap of faith here and dive in first. I'm probably going to lean towards the middle management aspect, like Max was just talking about. Orrin knows this, but our family-owned company, we're in a generational handoff. So the baton is inching ever closer to myself and my brother-in-law's hands. And so we've got to start developing leaders. And it's not that we don't have any in place right now, because we have leaders within our teams, but as soon as you hire and promote or shift people from one position to the next, you've got to backfill. And if I'm going to move my current leaders to a more prominent leadership role, I've got to have that middle management in between still. And so it's not just hiring, but maybe even promoting, taking that budget to promote and compensate those individuals that we're going to move up within the company as well.
Good answer.
I'll jump in. I'll hire some data analysts. How about that? I'll take some people to analyze what we're doing. I'm sure AI could do that too for me as well.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hire some people to come through and see where I could raise prices, see where I could sell more products, see where I could potentially gain more business from my current business. So I want to hire a bunch of people to come in and comb through all that.
CJ?
I would say probably one of our biggest challenges is just churn at the route merchandiser position. It's kind of the first step to solving some of our issues on our first line management, because like our first line managers, they have aspirations to lead, but sometimes a route merchandiser can make more than that management position, while they would develop in the long term may make more from a salary perspective. And so solving that helps, because whenever we're short a route merchandiser, a manager's got to hop on that route, right? But so if you can solve that, it allows managers to then actually do the role that they're hired for. So if we had unlimited budget, we'd solve that solution.
Yep.
Good answers. I love them all. Well, this is fun. And thank you to Sam and CJ and Max for taking the time out of your days. I know they're always very busy to join us. I'd also like to thank GoGo Refresh Media for hosting us and allowing us to have conversations like this. On our next Breakroom Boardroom, we will be talking about case studies. Are they a secret sales weapon, or are they a complete waste of time? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Orrin, for the invite.